Good morning. It's Monday, so time for a couple of book talks. I actually read several books over this last week. I was, not at 100% capacity, so I did sit around a lot and finished a couple of books. One that I talked a little bit about last week is called They'll Never Catch Us on audio by Jessica Goodman. This one, I enjoyed most of the book. It follows two sisters who are on the cross-country team. They live in upstate New York in a town called Coldwater, which at times has been known as Deadwater because there are some cold cases from the town that were played up in the media. Some cross-country runners went missing, and it's appeared to be a serial killer situation, but the cases were never solved. So, flash forward to the future, and there's a lot of discussion about the things that are going on with each sister separately and together. So it's told in alternating perspectives. And then also a new student moves to town and joins the cross-country team and then goes missing. I'm not going to spoil the story for you. I really didn't like the ending, though, I will say that. The rest of the book I did enjoy, but when we got to the ending, I was just kind of like, really? Okay. But anyway, you might enjoy it. It's a mystery. Also, I read The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix on my phone ebook. I really have enjoyed everything I've read by Grady Hendrix. I will say that this wasn't my favorite one. It wasn't bad. I did enjoy it. Maybe I read it a little too fast or something, or I just wasn't in the mood, but it follows Lynn Tarkington, who is part of what they call this Final Girl Support Group. If you don't know what a Final Girl is the last woman standing in a horror movie. So all of her friends have been, murdered by, the Jason type killer or the Freddy type killer or the Michael Myers type killer, and it's just her. And often she does overcome the monster in the end. And all of the women in this support group have had real life experiences with crazy psycho killers like that, and then movies have been made of their experiences. So anyway, the main character is like the most hyper vigilant paranoid of the bunch, and some things start happening that lead her to believe that someone is targeting the members of the group. And I'm not going to spoil it for you because you might want to read it. I don't know if I'll buy it for us or not. There's nothing that would keep us from having it. But if you would like me to buy Final Girl Support Group, then let me know and I will put it on our list. Also, let's see, I read New Kid by Jerry Craft. This one's been in the media a lot. Some people have a problem with this book, and I really don't see it, honestly. It's an award winner, won the Newbery Medal, won the Coretta Scott King Medal. It's a graphic novel. There is absolutely nothing in my mind offensive about this book at all. It is a story of a student who is entering a middle school program. He really wanted to go to an art school. Like, he lives in an area where you have choices like that. Like in our school system, you don't really have choices. You go to the school that you're zoned for, and that's it. But in this student's area, his family applied for him to go to a prestigious school that is not necessarily in his neighborhood. And when he goes to that school, he is one of the few students of color there. So it just talks about his experiences with that. He and his fellow students of color have some similar experiences. One thing is, like, for example, people keep getting them confused and calling them by each other's name, even though that they've been in these classes with their teachers, at one point all year, and their teacher is still calling them by other students' names, not their names. And then there's some other things that go on too, like there's a running joke throughout the book that like one of the characters is given a book called the Mean Streets of South Uptown, and the teacher gives it to him. They're like, oh, I thought you might like this because you're a student of color, and there's a student of color on the book. And they end up giving this book to each other as a joke, like, oh, I thought you might like this because, they look like you, and it's really not what they're after at all. It doesn't have anything to do with their interests. But I found it very interesting as well as entertaining. And this experience of feeling out of place in a different environment because you're a member of a minority group is a common experience, a common theme throughout several different books that I've read. This is not the first book that I've read where a student goes to a school outside of their neighborhood and they don't feel like they fit in, and it's not uncommon. Now, like I've seen some people talk about it or seen it in the news, and I'm like feeling like if this book makes you uncomfortable, then why? Like, why does it make you uncomfortable? There's really nothing in it that I found that made me uncomfortable at all. So, like I said, we have it in our library here. New Kid by Jerry Craft. Check it out. It's just a good read. Also, Naomi Novik's Uprooted. I read this all like Saturday and Sunday. It's a great fantasy. So, and it's been a while since I read a really good, well, not really. I mean, I read a lot of fantasy, but I really enjoyed this story. I don't want to give too much of it away, but it is definitely epic high fantasy. The main character, she lives in a village on the edge of this wood, like capital W wood. And the wood is steadily encroaching upon the villages and overtaking them. And there's this dark force within the wood that corrupts things and turns them bad. And there is a wizard who lives just outside of her community. And every 10 years he comes down and selects a new girl to take to his tower and keeps her for 10 years. And then she, comes back to the village but doesn't stay and goes away somewhere else. So at the beginning of the book, the main characters, they're just sure that her best friend is going to be the one that gets chosen, but she doesn't. The main character gets chosen instead, and she just doesn't really understand. But it turns out she has a magical gift. So, and that's just the beginning of the story. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of magic, a lot of that whole deep, dark wood sort of thing. Finding out things about yourself and capabilities that you were unaware of that turn into things that help out your village and your home and other people as well. So anyway, I highly recommend it. I started immediately after finishing this one. I started reading Spinning Silver on my phone. So this print copy is available because I'm reading it on my phone, and I'm really enjoying that too. So I'll talk about that next week. And that's all I've got for today. So next week is Thanksgiving break, so we won't have any book talks then. Hopefully I'll get a lot read, and I'll have lots to talk about when we come back. So have a good break.